Hello, my name is Kristina Moyer and welcome to my channel where I show you how I create my art and what tools I like and just everything two-dimensional art. So today's video, I'm going to start you with the first building block for color theory, which is the color wheel. So get out those primary colors. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this video is definitely for you. And if you do know what I'm talking about, stick around anyways for some fun.
Well, thank you for joining me. Here's the color wheel. So get out your yellow, blue, and red and let's get started. Here's a set that I have that I purchased and some water, a paintbrush, you need a pencil, something to make a circle. So that or that, something that has a circle on it, and a ruler so you can get some straight lines. So first, start off with a dot. Now, if you're just making one color wheel, then just do one dot and make the circles. I'm doing 2 circles, so I have some space to paint and I don't need to paint a whole pie piece, if you know what I mean, more like a donut. And I'm doing 2 so that I can compare 2 sets of paints, 2 different yellows, 2 different blues, 2 different reds, so you can see how what red and blue and yellow that you're using affects how that affects your painting colors. Because if you're trying to achieve a certain green and you're using one yellow, you might not be able to make a certain green that you want. Now I'm splitting up the spaces into 12. So if you make a cross shape first, so there's my first line, and now make it perpendicular. And then I kind of eyeball 2 spaces in between because you want 3 in between those spots there. So you go 1, 2, and then there you go. We have spots. We've got my yellow, and then 1, 2, 3, blue, 1, 2, 3, red. Same on the other side. Now I'm writing down the names of these colors so that I can keep it as a reference. And I think that's the main purpose I want to show you. I want you to take your paints that you have. Don't worry about going out and buying new paints. Just take the paints you have and create this color wheel and see how it helps you to decide how to blend and mix your colors to create a certain painting. And if you're not achieving those colors, maybe you will need to get a different paint set or different color. Maybe it's just a yellow you need to change or something. Okay, so we've painted in just a block of yellow. Now we're just going to paint in a block of blue. So solid color. Wet your brush, but don't let it be drippy. Here's an ultramarine blue. And just so you can see the color names, that's cadmium yellow, medium, and that's cadmium red hue. Right in your face. Hello. And so let's get some blue. Block that in. You can see that I'm grabbing paint from the side of the daub of paint that I put because I want to be mixing with multiple times, so I want to make sure I'm not just grabbing from the center and contaminating it with other colors. So don't worry about making it perfect because this is just for a reference. So I'm not too concerned about whether my lines are straight, that kind of thing. I mean, I don't want it to be too messy either, but I'm not too worried if it goes outside the line. Here's this nice, bright, warm red. Get that color in. And these are your primary colors. There are 3 primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. Then you have your secondary colors and your tertiary colors. And I'm marking those in. There are 3 secondary colors, orange, violet, and green. And you also have 6 tertiary colors. So those are the ones in between. And you just say like yellow, orange, and red, orange, that kind of thing. So they don't really have a special name for those per se. Okay, so I'm mixing up my green now. So you want to take parts blue, parts yellow. And I see how I'm grabbing the yellow. You can kind of see better with the yellow from the side and not from the center because I'm going to be mixing yellow with red as well. So I want to try and keep it clean. Now, it won't be exactly 1 part yellow to 1 part blue because yellow is not as strong. It will lose its pigment, the hue, I should say, quicker. It's not as strong as like the blue and the red. So I use less blue. So just start with a little bit and then add more to get your color that you want. Now this is the yellow green. I found this yellow green to be very muted, not as bold as I was thinking it might be. And now I'm creating my blue, yellow, or blue green. Well, blue and yellow, yes, but not very much yellow to blue ratio. And you don't have to wash your brush in between when you're doing those few colors in between, like yellow to blue. You don't really have to wash your brush for that. But once you're going from blue to red, make sure you clean your brush really well. I have two containers of water, one for my dirty water and one for my clean water. So I first go in the dirty, swish it around, wipe my brush off, and then go into the clean just to verify that I don't have any globs of paint still on my brush. So if you take a look at the violet, you might be surprised to see how dark it is, how deep of a color violet is when you mix just pure red and blue together. I know I always thought that was strange, but really if you want that like lilac purple, you're going to have to add more white to that. You can't just blue and red. But today we're not talking about tonality. I'll do that on another video. So take baby steps. And now we got our beautiful, it's almost magenta when you have the violet red is like close to a magenta color. If you were to add white to that, you'd have a nice, probably a nice magenta color. So like I said, we'll play with that another time. And sure, you can buy a color wheel like I have, like I've shown you in this video, and you'll see more of it. It does help to understand, oh, what happens if I add white? What happens if I, add a little bit of red, all these things. But this is going to really help you show what actual colors you're going to have when you mix your own paints that you have. Because unless you have the exact colors from the color wheel that you purchased, you're not going to get the exact colors by mixing those primary colors. Now look at that orange. Love that orange. That's a good VIP Kid orange. VIP Kid's the company I work for, teaching kids English online, based in China. So pretty much all my kids are Chinese that I teach. All right, and look at that yellow orange color. So that's a tertiary. And then we're going into the red orange color. So just add a little more yellow. I don't know why I washed my brush in between that. I didn't really need to. Sometimes it's just nice to have a clean brush to start. So we're almost done the first color wheel. So if you purchased a color wheel and you're making your own color wheel, take a look at the difference between the one that you purchased and the one you created. The colors that, like the blues are so different, I find. And even the violets, they aren't showing up as deep in what the one I purchased. So it's really interesting. If I were to get those exact colors, I wonder if it would really be those same ones. So here's the other color wheel that I'm going to create. And I've got these few different colors, different types of yellow and different types of blue. This is a phthalo blue. Lots of languages there. I guess not a lot, but carmine. And let's get started with the red this time. Since I'm right-handed, I guess it makes more sense to go start on the left side so I don't get paint all on my hand, which I was kind of dealing with on the other side. So this red is a little bit more cooler. It's a cooler toned red. So I don't know if you realize that you can get cooler toned reds or warmer reds. But if you can kind of see the difference as I put them side by side, you might be able to tell. No, this video doesn't show as well as if you saw it in person. And this yellow is way more lemon than what this video shows too. It's almost fluorescent. It's really bright. But let's put them side by side and hopefully you can kind of see. It's just imagine that more lemony. Use your imagination. Yes. And then that one's just a bit darker, but still a nice bright yellow. Okay, let's make a nice orange. So this orange felt a little bit more muted. So if I'm trying to paint something realistic, oftentimes we don't have like these super bright colors in reality, depending on what you're painting. When I go to Hawaii, I think, okay, yeah, these colors do exist, but oftentimes I don't want that, bright green when I'm painting grass, or, you want a mixture of different colors. So it's good to learn what your colors do. Okay, now let's get that yellow-orange color going. See again that yellow is not going to be as strong against red, so don't put too much red to start. Just a little bit at a time. Otherwise, you're probably going to waste some paint. But it's good to experiment, to explore. Because once you understand your colors, you're going to have way less frustration when you're painting and trying to achieve a certain look. It's going to be way more satisfying. Now let's add some red to get that red-orange color. The other thing is, if you're really struggling to actually draw the color wheel, how we did in the beginning, if that's just keeping you from doing it, just look for a template online, and maybe I'll even post one in the comments below. In the description, I should say. I'll post one in the description for you. If you don't feel like actually drawing one out, you could just paint it, fill in the blanks. Have fun. So this blue, I feel like is closer to the blue from my color wheel that I purchased. Still not quite the same, and it is different from the blue. And I didn't do a swatch right away. I must have forgotten. But let's go ahead and do a green. Now this green, this is a nice bright green. So I'm painting a golf course. Need that bright green. And there's so much more to the color wheel and understanding color. I'm not going to go into that today because this is just basics. Take it one step at a time. Make that color wheel. I'd love to see yours. If you create one and you want to share it with me, or if you have any questions, you can leave questions in the comments below, or you can tag me with a picture of yours on Instagram at KmoArtYYC. I would love to see what you created. I love to see when students make something, like that's really rewarding as a teacher. So if you've created one, please share, and if you have any other insights too. That's what I love about teaching. You can learn and teach at the same time. I remember at my university, there's a saying that they have on the walls on the outside in one of the areas, and it says, "I'm still learning." Like, yes, always learning. And I'm sorry I didn't show you. You couldn't see where I was mixing the color there. I'm just making my violet. And filling in the rest of the blanks. We're almost done. I feel like this should be a nice, relaxing experience. A good way to step into the painting world if you've never painted before, or if you have painted and you're finding yourself frustrated with mixing colors. It's a really good exercise, and just to break away from your normal routine of painting, maybe. I know I kind of got sick of doing it in schools, like every day, every year. It's like the first thing, make a color wheel. I'm like, I know how to make a color wheel. I get it. And now I realize how important it is. And I feel like I always knew how to do it, and I thought it was so easy. But there's so much to it that if you didn't understand these basics, okay, yeah, it makes sense. So here we go. We're finished. Oh, just need to do my little swatches of the blue. And then we're going to close in a little bit so you can see it a bit better. But hopefully this gives you some idea of where to go to get started with some color theory, to understanding your paints that you have, and to just have more joy painting, because that's what Bob Ross wants us to do, have more joy in painting. And I know I do. There's my dirty water, and there's the clean water. All right, and just a quick comparison with the color wheel that I purchased. It is a pretty fancy thing. Those different colors. See, the slightest difference can make a pretty big impact on your outcome, especially those greens. Well, thank you guys so much for watching today. I really enjoyed sharing this with you, and I hope that you had something of value that you received. And if you did, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day. Until next time, take care now.